Thanks, Ceann Comhairle. Minister, I'd like to divide my time between the past and the present in relation to how mothers and babies are treated. I obviously fully support an investigation. It must be full, it must be into all homes, all records must be handed over. I think there's a lot of major issues at stake here, and I wonder if the government and the Fianna Fáil benches are going to take some time to think about them. How did this actually happen? That women outside of wedlock and children born outside of wedlock will be treated and effectively tortured. How was it that such a weak, poverty-ridden state leaned on the Catholic Church for support, for legitimacy? How come they tied the whole morals of the Catholic Church into the state, into the Constitution, with the resultant horror for women and children that we've seen? Now, the state then, as now, is made up of the same political parties, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, who've alternated power between them, and Labour for the last number of years. And it is the state that's equally culpable here, not just the Church. The state was responsible for these women and children. Now, the Taoiseach today said it was an abomination that women were treated like that in, I think he used the phrase, the olden days, or the old days. But I would ask the Minister to turn his attention to lone parents and children today. Who does he think is most affected by the hammer blow of austerity being dealt out by this government and by the previous government? Lone parents. There's no other group in society that's more likely, that's guaranteed to live in poverty than that group. Who is most impacted by the previous government's decision, and your own, not to build council housing? Mothers and babies. You know, single parents in particular, who are directly affected by the state's neglect in privatising the whole housing system. Now, today, mothers and babies are thankfully not shunned and hidden away, but instead, I put it to you that the current epidemic of homelessness is equally making victims of mothers and babies, and particularly single mothers and babies, with very serious health problems, both physical and mental, for those women and their children, who are being dished out with cuts in child benefit, in rent allowance, and in a whole host of supports that would allow them to make a life for themselves and their families. I'd also ask the Minister to note that the state is continuing to privatise the care of all vulnerable groups in society, in many cases still to private religious denominations. Will that be investigated by the Commission? The crime and the shame of direct provision has also been mentioned for asylum seekers, effectively guaranteeing people to live in a nightmare of torture. And I would also point out to the Minister that it isn't that long ago that the ranks of your backbenches and of Fianna Fáil revolted over the idea of allowing women autonomy over their own bodies when they're pregnant. You know, that isn't a million years ago. Obviously, clearly, it's very recent, and the right to life doesn't just end at birth, and I hope that that's also noted by Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and those who denied women that autonomy in the X case legislation.